mandatory bi-weekly reminder that Xbox Game Pass is doing very fine. It's making so much money, its user base is growing, and it's the best it has ever been, ever. Obviously, that's a lie. Everyone knows that consoles are dying. No one really cares about them. They're getting more expensive for less quality. Exclusives no longer exist. They're just a question mark at this point. There is literally no reason to own an Xbox any longer because all the Xbox games are going to go to other platforms anyway at this point. Game Pass's price has doubled and quadrupled over the last 5 years or so, and there is no value to be had in it. Every single Xbox release in this year and last year has been astonishingly garbage. I mean, we're literally talking about South of Midnight, Indiana Jones, Avowed, The Outer Worlds 2, and a couple of other ones, and all but Grounded 2 have been absolute ginormous disasters. Okay, the situation is so bad that South of Midnight is called the big Xbox AAA release. Now, I'm not kidding about that. That game didn't even sell 20,000 units. And that's considered the big Xbox release. PlayStation's garbage, as you all know, but at least they try to make some games that are fun time to time. But still, it's a console, so at the end of the day, no one really cares anyway. And, well, people are still shocked that consoles are slowly becoming absolutely obsolete and people hate them.
You know, after years of running this channel, it's rare that I'm actually shocked by something, but today there is something that I'm shocked about, and it's literally how quantifiably cooked Xbox are. So, with that, I have a question for you. Are you ready for the PS6? The next Xbox, whatever the hell the geniuses over there call it? Well, PlayStation and Xbox have spent the last few months teasing new tech and teasing new hardware. This is all happening 5 years after
I love the fact that the new tech that's being teased technically can never be anything newer than something that we have already seen 2 years ago. Because think about it, how you're supposed to develop a console. You're supposed to create a console, and, well, you can't use future ingredients for it, because that means we don't know the price of it. It could be extremely expensive. You don't know if it's even gonna exist. So when you're designing a console, you need to design it pretty much like 2-3 years in the past from what is good currently now. So new tech means nothing for consoles. It's old and obsolete tech typically.
the race of the current console gen, and that does mean we're roughly due for the next one being unveiled. But there's a little bit of a problem with the normal cycle, and I actually have numbers to tell you this story. Here's one of the crazy ones. Over Black Friday, Xbox was outsold by a $200 Kinect-style kids console called the Next Playground. Yeah,
we heard about this. This is literally a ripoff. This is actually like literally a Chinese bootleg ripoff, and it outsold Xbox. If that does not tell you everything you need to know about, then nothing honestly will.
Xbox, not just the Series S, no, all of Xbox combined, was literally outsold by a thing that I hadn't even heard of until this was actually a newsworthy thing. Is that not kind of insane? The PS5 took 47% of hardware sales, Switch 2 took 24%, and this motion gaming toy thing aimed at 5-year-olds took 14%. Xbox was somewhere below that.
How much is this? 71.85. So Xbox, since it's not on the list, made less than 14%. Wow.
It's kinda crazy. Now, PlayStation have taken until June 2025 to report more monthly users on PS5 than on PS4. Yeah, that's honestly wild. And the PS5 is actually underselling the PS4 by 2.5 million units at the same point in its life cycle. So we see that audiences are split between the 4 and the 5, and now, 5 years in, loads of people just aren't moving to the current generation the way that they used to. And that's a problem for the games that you play and the people who make them, because basically, the industry can't continue.
No, that's just a problem for anyone who thinks that it is worthwhile to invest into making games for PlayStations and consoles. which is a failure.
Running like this, it genuinely seems that consoles are slowing down, and that raises severe questions for what the hell the future of this industry looks like. And
Failure. We literally knew for a fact that consoles have slowed down from the fact that PlayStation 5 has undersold PlayStation 4 by 20-ish plus percent at this point. So, yeah, we knew that consoles are slowing down, obviously.
as much as the little PCMR goblin inside me goes, yeah, yes, the console gamers have lost. Well, sometimes it is those big companies that just put ridiculous amounts of money into R&D and actually push forward industry standards in a way that benefits everyone. And if that's no longer something that's happening, then gaming will not be moving forward as
Oh, surely. When was the last time Xbox or PlayStation pushed anything forward, okay? The biggest forward pushers we honestly have is indie games coming in and invading the AAA spaces and destroying them. Palworld is unironically making Nintendo make Pokemon better. And I say better lightly, obviously. They're not still doing a lot, but I mean, they're actually trying to innovate in a way, at least, which Nintendo has not done for the past 30-ish years or so. And that's now happening because of Palworld, okay? The only thing that these people understand is brute force, sadly, in a completely metaphorical way, YouTube.
fast. I'll start off with something tangible. One of the biggest games of 2025 suffered because of this exact problem, and the game is Monster Hunter Wilds. You see, in August, the president of Capcom told Nikkei that the game's slowing sales were caused, in his suggestion anyway, by them not selling on the right platform. You see, PC was not their target market. Console was their target market, and we actually suggested that this is why the PC
Oh, that's autistic.
release was basically struggling so much performance-wise.
Wait. So, Monster Hunter, a game that's played on PC by many people, and this company actually releases it and thinking PC is not their main audience? Like, come on, how stupid do you need to be?
On launch, that they kind of just rushed it forward to hit some of their financial targets. It's quite a fun little dramatic story, but where it gets interesting is that later on, the same guy framed this whole thing a little bit differently. He said that Capcom were hitting what he calls, quote, the PS5 barrier. There simply were not enough PS5s for them to sell copies of their PS5 games on. Same, of course, goes for the Xbox Series. And that
For the last 10 years, we have had statistics that Steam is 60% of all gaming. Everything else, these things are pretty much fighting for scraps.
is kind of crazy. 5 years into a console cycle, where PC is the dominant platform of a traditionally console-based franchise, all because the new consoles quite literally aren't selling. Kind of wild. Now, in Japan, playing Monster Hunter Wilds online with a friend would cost you about 100,000 yen, that's $675. Kind of difficult to justify for anyone, especially younger generations. That's a lot of money for a PS5. And Capcom's president, Tsujimoto, acknowledged that this wasn't just a Japanese problem. It was actually a global problem. And that's because right now there is a fundamental tension. It's the developers have been building their games for 5 years based on the assumption that players would eventually move on to the next-gen consoles, as they always have before. The only problem...
But they haven't. This has been a I don't understand these issues. I really don't understand this. Who the hell is working in these companies? People not willing to move on from the previous generation of consoles has been a problem for, I don't know, every generation of console that has existed before this. Without fail. For PlayStation, for Xbox, for everything. Without fail, this has always been an issue. The people don't want to move on. Maybe except the 360, but that's one exception out of how many non-exceptions? You need to be kidding me. Like, people don't move on, and that's a well-known fact. And the fact that these people did not expect this, I honestly sometimes think, what the hell is happening in these companies? It's like, this stuff is right in front of you. It should be your job to know this, and this is a well-known fact. And you're telling me you're oblivious to it? Do you just go to cocktail parties and then get mad because people don't know the company you're working at? Is that your life? Sounds sad.
Is that players have not done what has been expected of them. We've heard the industry angle, but what about the consumer one? Why would someone buy a PS5 right now? I mean, maybe they want to play older games at a better frame rate, or maybe in 4K. If you're an enthusiast like me, then hey, getting to ramble around as Leon Kennedy pretty much at 120 FPS feels bloody great. But for general audiences, console sales have been driven by exclusives. Basically by games that people want that they cannot play on an older machine or a PC at a comparable cost. The high price of a new console is a barrier, but it's one that people have always been able to overcome with the right incentive. That incentive being a big shiny new video game that you just need to play. If you let me ape a point from a video we did earlier on this week, take Naughty Dog as one.
Okay. Okay, I need someone to explain this to me. Does Bellier not like have heating in his house, or what's going on here exactly? Because he's constantly wearing this clearly vintage jacket indoors for some reason. And I mean, I'm sorry, but this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's clearly some kind of winter jacket. It's not a style thing because he's not pulling it off. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Also, that's a great thumbnail.
You just need to play.
That is a great thumbnail. I'm gonna make a screenshot real quick, okay? Wait, boys, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Daddy's doing things, going to the grocery store and returning. Bet you didn't see that one coming now, did you?
If you let me ape a point from a video we did earlier on this week, take Naughty Dog as one example. Where is their big new PS5 exclusive game? There hasn't been one. And
well, Naughty Dog hasn't made a game in the past decade. That's probably also kind of a big deal.
Loads of the new PS5 games were actually playable on the PS4. A bit of that's because, well, fundamentally they're very similar bits of hardware. It's not like the past where things were fundamentally different, say, moving from the PS3's utterly insane cell architecture to the PS4's far more standard one. Now, to get back on track here, back in summer 2024, Xbox Series S sales spiked to their highest since launch. And it kind of happened in a way that proves a little bit of the point, that sort of proves why people end up buying lots of things. And that reason was a game called EA Sports College Football.
Well, yeah. Like, are we seriously not smart enough to make a distinction between the casual gamer who plays sports balls or the gamer who doesn't play those things? These are, in my opinion, very different crowds. Do you agree with that? Am I crazy?
It was not on PC. It was not on the last generation of consoles. But college football is a huge scene in America, and this console was the cheapest way to get that experience. So, you need games to give people a reason to buy consoles, especially when the price of those consoles is only going up, which is kind of the opposite of what usually goes on as a hardware generation progresses. Now, Sony's first-party titles do actually matter here. I mean, there's a reason why Helldivers 2 and Spider-Man 2 have been chart toppers, but looking at the console sale charts, we see a slow...
Spider-Man 2 failed. It was a monetary disaster. Well, maybe Spider-Man 2 at this point has broken even, but Spider-Man 2, we know its development cost was near 400 million or 300 million. And it did not sell nearly enough copies to break even.
Drip of Sony cinematic blockbusters a year is clearly not enough to move the needle here. You basically need the whole industry to move on, because there's essentially a bit of a network effect. The more the whole industry says, we're all going to only put our games on the big shiny new thing and not sell our games in the old thing, then the more value there is in buying the new console. But if a lot of the industry decides, you know what,
there is no value. This is actually wrong. This opinion is false. There is no value in buying the new shiny thing if you don't like the new shiny thing. And if that's your only motivation for switching to a new box of nothing, then, well, you just lost.
Going to actually be a bit of a straggler. We're going to publish in the old thing as well, which obviously is them defending their short-term sales. Well, guess what? We end up in a strange situation like this one, where consoles are kind of bleeding out because we've accidentally killed the business model that they used to thrive on. There's other things as well, like PC ports for loads of these games that are kind of encouraging people to hold off, amongst, of course, some other structural reasons that I'll come back to in this video. But it's not just this problem of inertia. There is another thing, and that is the game that everybody expected to attract people to the new consoles has been delayed again and again and again. For the whole industry, GTA 6 was something to be terrified and avoid, but also something that the industry needed, because it would drive all the normies back into gaming.
How much, by the way, do you think Microsoft is paying Take-Two for GTA 6 to be an exclusive? It literally has to be like $1 billion or something like that. That needs the exclusivity of GTA 6 has to be like a deal that's literally worth $1 billion or maybe more at this point. Microsoft is already struggling with, their games division, obviously. It's like their least productive thing and it's garbage. And GTA 6 is probably going to triple the sales of Xbox when it drops. Because, I mean, people are gonna buy an Xbox to play GTA 6. I upgrade my computer in expectations for playing it on PC later.
Back into spending and back into the new hardware. So while Rockstar saying they think GTA 6 will be the largest game launch in history is real good for them, and by the way, I do actually think it will be, it's actually
Obviously
even better for the console manufacturers. And I think not just in a nice to have, I think it's something that they quite genuinely need. And I think the actual sales numbers back up that they really do need that.
Now, this is gonna also be horrible for the next console generation, because think about it this way. There's gonna be a slew of people who are gonna be buying a console because of GTA 6. And, well, congratulations, you just bought an already antiquated console to play GTA 6, and now and now you're not buying the new console. There is no way in hell you are losing money on the new console after that. You're not buying it. You already bought it because of GTA 6, so you're never getting a new console after that for literally years.
Because if those sales charts are anything to go by, consoles are basically losing out to, well, everything else, including other forms of entertainment entirely. We actually cover this numerous times through 2025. And while this is our opinion, it's worth saying it's not just our opinion. Analysts told VGC that it was a direct impact on PlayStation's own hardware sales estimates. A quote from their report goes as follows: "The delay in GTA 6 is a real blow to the PS5. This was supposed to be the product that got many consumers to get off the PS4 and onto a PS5. Now,
wait. Isn't it an Xbox exclusive? Because it's coming to PCs a month after release on consoles, right? So it is a form of exclusivity still.
Now, that quote...
So Xbox, so they're getting money from PlayStation and Xbox to be launched on those platforms before PC. Okay, interesting. So both of them are probably paying Take-Two billions. Nice.
Actually comes from before the second delay, which added another 6 months. Now, GTA 6...
I mean, Rockstar Games, oops, whatever.
...is almost certainly not coming to PC at launch. There's no evidence that it will. It seems it will only be for PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. God knows how it'll run in a Series S, but apparently they're going to try and do that. And GTA being exclusive is a draw that's exponentially bigger than college football. I mean, probably in America and certainly on a global scale. And as you saw with those Xbox Series S numbers, a big game that normal people give a shit about is basically the main thing that will drive sales of a new console. And we just haven't really had that as much as we've generally had it, which is one of the reasons why our sales have kind of just plummeted compared to expectations. I mean, it's not even that, like, we're struggling to keep up with the previous generation sales curve. I mean, it is that, but generally in a growing industry, you'd expect the next generation to, outsell the one that came before it. And that's not been happening. And that matters because, as Capcom has proven in all of their various statements, developers have made expensive bets years ago based on the audience that they expected they would have based on every other console cycle. That just hasn't really happened. And until that audience is somehow there, probably via GTA, then the whole industry is going to have to make some big changes if they're going to get the money that they've made all their plans around. What should be clear by now then is that more than any prior generation, our understanding of how the console market works is being tested and that market is changing. People, as an example, used to replace their consoles over time just to play the newest games, right? But now Call of Duty is still releasing on PS4 12 years later. 12 years! Compare that to when Call of Duty, say, stopped releasing on the PS3. It wasn't 12 years of a gap. This is absolutely crazy, and it's happening because players simply don't seem to need the new consoles to play the games they actually want to play. And that's because the majority of games played in consoles came out midway through the PS4's lifespan. I mean, if you look at any given week's engagement charts, you do just see the usual crowd there, like say your Fortnites. And that will keep new console sales down. There isn't really a shiny new thing to play because the way we play games has kind of changed and it's consolidated.
No shiny new thing to play, no console sales. No console sales, no guaranteed need to make shiny new thing to play. It's like the easiest death cycle I have seen in my life.
And most people are now playing older games, often games that came out over a decade ago.
Bro.
But that's probably going to change soon, and not just because of GTA. Yes, people would not jump, and that is perhaps why Sony are getting ready to push them. You see, Sony are winding down PS4 support from 2026, this very new year, and live service developers are already taking note of this. As an example, games like Genshin Impact have already announced they're discontinuing in older generations due to, quote, limitations related to hardware performance and platform application size. But there's an untested theory in all of this. Where do those people go when the console that they bought isn't supported anymore? You see, I say that because
nowhere or on PC.
Upgrading isn't as simple as it used to be. Consoles used to get cheaper over time, so those people who are still playing Fortnite or Genshin on their PS4 by now in the PS5 cycle would have been able to get an amazing Black Friday deal. Maybe the Black Friday Bundaroo from the South Park episode. That used to be what things were like. It's not like that anymore. Margins are so thin once you add up the tariffs, the AI data center driven component price rises, GPUs, RAM, all that fun, and also currency fluctuations. We see these companies simply don't have that option. And here's how stark it's actually gotten. According to Circana, the average price paid for a new console in the US was $235 in November 2019. $235. Do you know what it is now in November 2025? It's $439. The prices have nearly doubled. And as those prices have doubled, the number of units sold has dropped from 3.9 million to 1.6 million. That is less than half the volume at nearly twice the price. So that's not really a slow transition. That is in, I think, reality. A whole market contracting. Now maybe PC is eating up.
Now technically, someone at finance is probably looking at this chart and saying the obvious. That is not obvious to you, don't worry about it. If you don't see this, it's completely fine. And it's the fact that you see this right here? This is a repeating pattern. You can see it also here and so on. So when the price stabilizes and becomes flatlined. Here the price goes up, and here the price goes down. You can see an increase. The price goes up. No one buys it. There's a huge dip, but the price doesn't go down. Okay, it stays. So all the people who were waiting for the price to go down start buying here because the price is not going down. Same thing. So if this stabilizes, someone at finance is gonna tell you that this down-going trend right here is going to go up. Probably, close to whatever the hell is, close to, around this range right here. This. So that's what they're probably looking at. They're just waiting for the price to stabilize to see if they can get the sales back on track. Now, spoiler alert, it's not gonna happen. But this is what people at finance are telling at the head honchos, and they're kind of banking all their money on this, which is probably not gonna happen in my opinion. So this is gonna be pretty interesting.
The price. So that's not really a slow transition. That is, in, I think, reality, a whole market contracting. Now, maybe PC is eating up loads of that. Maybe, I don't know, Switch 2 is eating up some of it. But actually, I think it is a genuine slowdown. We've seen that console game sales have been going down or have been flat. In effect, we're seeing tens of millions of people basically fall off the wagon, and whenever the PS4 support ends in 2026, at some point in this year, well, how many of them are just going to go somewhere else? And we kind of know the PlayStation agrees with Capcom that this PS5 barrier exists, at the very least in Japan. You see, in Japan...
Japan is a different story. I can't even honestly comment on that too much. It's a different market. It does work in different ways. Anyway, that was Billiard News 10 out of 10. Bye!